rounding third with home plate in sight. But even the best players need a coach to wave them in. Safe! Welcome to Perfect Game Retirement, hosted by Ryan Ledden, former pro baseball player, University of Georgia economics graduate, and now certified financial planner with Black Oak Asset Management. He's here to guide you through the final stretch and help you slide safely into a winning retirement. Play ball!
Welcome in. This is Perfect Game Retirement. Glad to have you with us this week on the show. I am Ben George. He is Ryan Ledden. He's a president and financial coach, also a certified financial planner at Black Oak Asset Management with offices in Alpharetta, Macon, Lawrenceville, and everything online at retireperfect.com. We got a great show for you today. I know we're towards the tail end of the summer, but maybe you're still planning another vacation or two before school starts back or before the weather turns cold again, or even if you're looking out in the future. We'll talk about planning for your next vacation and what all goes into that and making sure you're making some financially sound decisions. Plus, are you wealthier than you think? A lot of people have their head down going to work every day, but actually, are you in a better position than you might think? Well, we'll discuss that today as well. Ryan, welcome in. How's everything going this week?
We're good. Again, love the routine. Kids are back in the swing of things of school, and so it's busy, but at the same time, it's a routine, and I enjoy routine.
Yeah, routine is good, and I know you've probably still working on the rehab. How's everything going on that front?
Yeah, it's good. I don't go to physical therapy anymore because pretty much everything they've kind of showed me and taught me, I'm willing and able to do that on my own. But I do go to a sports medicine place where I do like a massage therapy, chiropractor, because then, because of a knee replacement, then you have other issues. You have hip issues or whatever. So trying to get those dialed in. But yeah, the last 2 months, monumentally better as far as the knee goes. So yeah, thanks for asking.
That's great. Great news. Well, we got a good show for you today. I want to kind of jump on in. And before I do, just a reminder, just jot down this website, retireperfect.com. It's the easiest way to get on Ryan's calendar if you have any questions, want to discuss, anything we talk about today on the show, or just want to begin your retirement planning. If you're getting close to retirement, haven't actually sat down and run the numbers, looked at where you are, see what adjustments need to be made, now is the time to do that. You can go to retireperfect.com, click on the free consultation button, have a chance to just talk with Ryan, have that initial conversation, begin discussing kind of where you stand, some of your concerns, your goals, and he'll take it from there. But it's all at retireperfect.com. So talking about vacation first, Ryan, I know you've been traveling quite a bit. I don't know if we would call what you've been doing vacations as much as just grinding, getting your kids from tournament to tournament. But I know it's often said that the average person spends more time planning their vacations than actually planning retirement, which is probably the truth. I'm sure you're shaking your head if you're listening to this. So we want to trick everyone today into planning their retirement by pretending like we're planning a vacation, Ryan. So here's a list of what we need to think about. So first off, you always think about, hey, where will I stay? That's the question first. So when you're thinking about this, I know obviously lodging is important in vacation, but in retirement as well, housing is a huge piece of what you're trying to figure out, isn't it?
It is, and I'm one of those people that were kind of I do the retirement planning because I do that on a daily basis. But we have planned a trip to take my kids to Disney during fall break. So yes, I'm right in the middle of this stuff of hotels and magic bands and blah, blah, blah. I mean, there's so many prep things you have to do at certain times and where we're going to eat and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I get it. I'm in the middle of that right now too. But yeah, where will I stay? Yeah, but people take so much time and effort in these things, in which we did for our Disney trip. My kids wanted the Polynesian, so that's where we're going to go. We've been there a couple times, so they like it. And anyway, but yeah, like, am I staying put? Am I staying in my house that I live in now? Is it too big of a house where I raise my kids in and it's too much to keep up, too much yard to manage or whatever? But am I staying in my current house? Am I going to downsize? And I'm using air quotes when I say downsize because that's kind of difficult to do now. The real estate market's kind of weird and downsizing, some people don't want to go from the square footage they're in to like half of their square footage because they don't get half of the value when they purchase it on the other end, because it's just, real estate is expensive right now. So, but that is a question, that is a concern. What are you going to do? Will I have a mortgage payment? I mean, obviously, if you ask everyone who's not retired, hey, are you going to have a mortgage payment in retirement? Oh, no, I'm going to have my house paid off. Well, everyone says that. Does everyone have it paid off? No. Is it bad if you don't have it paid off? No, but it is probably your biggest overhead cost that you're going to have every single month if you don't have the mortgage paid off. So, if you don't have it paid off by retirement, make it a goal to pay it off soon. Because again, that just frees up whatever your mortgage payment is, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month. That's a lot. So your Social Security, your retirement income, your pension goes so much further if you don't have that mortgage payment going in. Now, I get it. Some people are like, oh, I got such a low interest rate, I don't want to pay it off. I understand that, but it's still it's a math game at that point. When you get to retirement, is what do I have coming in? What do I have going out? So try to simplify that and try to pay that house off as much as you can. Do you rent? I'm not a huge proponent of long-term renting. It's not a bad thing, but it is a cost you're going to have every single month. Now, maybe to do it, if you sell your big primary house and you're not sure where you want to go, maybe it means renting for a couple of years and doing that and then looking for some sort of a real estate after that. So a lot of things that goes into that. I mean, do you completely move and relocate to another state that's more tax friendly? Obviously, we live in an area where, we go just north of us in Tennessee or just south of us and we don't have state income tax. So there's some things to think about when it comes to retirement and where you're going to stay. And it needs to be thought about and be very thorough with it.
Yeah, a lot to think through in terms of housing and retirement. And again, it's how a team like Black Oak Asset Management can help you ask these questions, right, to help you determine what's best. You might not know the answer right now, and that's probably where a lot of people are, Ryan, right? They don't exactly know what they want to do, but talking through some of these options and what makes most sense financially will help you kind of come to that conclusion a little bit easier.
Yeah, it's because it's a big decision. And so if they don't have a real estate agent or someone they can go to or a mortgage lender, if that's what they have to do in retirement, then we point people in that right direction to help them out with that. But it's a big decision for sure.
All right, again, if you want to talk about that with Ryan at Black Oak Asset Management, again, get in touch now, retireperfect.com. It's an easy way to schedule a time. You'll pick out a time on Ryan's calendar that works for you and have that free introductory phone call and begin talking through some of these questions that you might have about retirement. It's all there at retireperfect.com. All right, the next thing you talk through when you're looking at vacation, I know this is one this big for me, Ryan. When I go on vacation, I want to know where I'm going to eat. What new restaurants or food am I going to try if I'm at the beach? What seafood am I going to be looking for? But when you're talking about this in terms of retirement planning, I know you talk about those lifestyle questions, right? It's kind of a bigger, broader topic, but again, another important one.
Yeah. And again, going back to my Disney planned vacation, like the 60-day window, you start scheduling all your sit down dinners and all that stuff. Oh man. And like I had to, my travel agent who does it, she was like, oh, tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. it opens up. I'm like, oh, I'm really having to do it this far in advance. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of I wouldn't call myself a foodie, but I enjoy good food. And if I tell my kids, if you eat your food, then you can order what you want. But if you're going to eat 3 chicken fingers and half fries, then that's what you're going to get. You're not going to get a filet and eat half of it and then let it go to waste. Of course, a filet, I would eat the rest of it. But so yeah, are you going to be eating out more? And sometimes you have free time. So some people think, oh, I got all this free time, I'll cook. Well, sometimes you have free time and you don't cook. For most people, whether it's groceries, which are expensive, or going out to eat, which is expensive because the food costs have gone up. And not only have food costs gone up, then what you're expected to tip. I'm sure everyone's noticed like 15% is not even like in the cards for you to tip someone 15%. They give you those little machines and it's 18, 22 or 20, 22, 25. And so even that adds extra cost to it on top of that. So, what are our eating plans in retirement? But people have other hobbies as well. Is it a golf membership? Or are you going to, travel more? And those things start to add up. Just account for them. And that's totally fine. I had a conversation with a client yesterday and they went on a pretty extravagant vacation and they absolutely loved it. And their monthly income in retirement is more than what they need because they have a few guaranteed streams of income. So they're already saving up on a monthly basis for their next trip and not having to pull it out of their retirement accounts, which is brilliant. Like it seems easy, but it's hard to do because not everybody has that luxury to do that. So they're already saving up and going on their next extravagant vacation. So good for them. They're not having to pull any funds out to be able to do that. So they made a plan for it. So make a plan for something like that. If you're going to have a big vacation, maybe pull a little bit out each month if you need to, instead of, taking 15, 20 grand all at once. That could be a big hit, especially if the stock market is down. So just what other extra costs are you helping with grandkids? Are you, paying for stuff for them because you want to, not because you have to, but because you want to. So those are the extra things that you may not think on a monthly basis that you do, but those are costs that are going to be incurred, and just be ready and account for it.
We're planning for retirement the same way we would plan for vacation, talking through some of those key questions you would ask yourself and your family as you're getting ready for vacation here with Ryan Ledden on Perfect Game Retirement. And the next one is, am I prepared for unexpected costs? Now, on vacation, Ryan, this can come up in different ways. It's tolls, it's extra gas in the rental car, maybe fees when you're checking your bag. I know maybe you leave something at home, you have to pick up a couple things when you're on vacation as well. In retirement, the unexpected costs can add up quite a bit. So how do you go about preparing for these things?
Yeah, the unexpected costs are it's kind of a they should be expected. You may not know the specific cost of what it's going to be, but yes, I mean, if you own a home, we all know you're going to have unexpected repairs. You're going to have an HVAC unit go out. You're eventually going to have to put a roof on. I mean, there's costs that are going to happen. You're going to have, maybe you're not, grinding out miles on your car as much as you were when you're working, but you're still going to eventually need a new vehicle. So what does that look like? Is that an expense that you're expecting to pay cash for, or are you going to finance that? So you have to account for stuff like that because they are going to happen. So does that mean you beef up your emergency fund even more? I would. I think having almost a year's worth of expenses when you go into retirement is the ideal scenario. Again, I know 3 to 6 months has always been kind of the stereotype of expenses to have an emergency fund. But I think in retirement, I think it's better to have even more, because you may have emergencies that have to happen that come from that. Or if you're taking income out of your investment accounts and the market's doing really, really poor at that time, you can maybe draw some out of that. Just make sure you replenish it when the stock market eventually goes up. So it's kind of a balancing act, if you will. And then the big thing is healthcare. What is that going to be for us? Are you going to incur nursing home expenses? Some of you may never, but some of you may have really, really high expenses, and that's the thing we don't know that's going to happen. So there's ways to alleviate some of that nursing home costs potentially if you need it. Of course, there's long-term care insurance policies out there. That's not always the case. There's life insurance policies out there that you can purchase that help pay for long-term care expenses. But then at the same time, if you don't have long-term care expenses, there's a death benefit because it's a life insurance policy. So it's kind of a hybrid, if you will. So someone would benefit from either the death benefit or the expenses that you can take out of this life insurance policy for long-term care. So those are ways to kind of buffer those unexpected costs that you're probably going to have.
Yeah, definitely something that you have to sit down and make a plan for and know how you're going to approach these things, because they will pop up. As you mentioned, Ron, we always get hit with these unexpected expenses, and you don't want that to really hinder your retirement. All right, let's close it out with one more here. When you go on vacation, hey, who's going to cover for me while I'm gone? I know this is what you think about a lot if you're at work and you have day-to-day responsibilities that you're taking care of. You make sure you take care of that. But in retirement, you need to know what's going to happen to your retirement plan at the death of the first spouse. And I know this is a hard conversation to have, Ryan, but one that you need to make sure you're prepared for.
Yeah, I see it year in and year out. Working with the clients that we do and some of the ages that they're at, we have to deal with this. We've had several this year, some expected and some unexpected. But I mean, if there's a shameless plug that I'm going to give, whether it's us or any advisory staff, I do think having a financial planner in your corner when something like this happens is hugely important. And again, I mentioned it on the show before and in my podcast. I remember a client specifically saying, and he knew he was going to die. He was sick, and he just says, "I don't know how a couple does this on their own. I just don't know how they do, because your emotions come involved. There's just so many things to think about, and to have a person that knows how to navigate all these different avenues, but then to be a person who, we're still emotionally tied because it's our clients, but it's not a family member. So we can maybe see things a little clearer through a different lens possibly, and help people out and just guide them through this, because more than likely going to happen. The death of both spouses at the same time is very rare because that's usually probably an accident, if you will. So it's usually spaced out, and you have to help that spouse that is left behind. And the ratios show that it's usually the female, again, because actuary tables don't lie. Males usually die before females do. Not always the case, just like my dad and my mom, but still, to help people through and guide them through those situations that inevitably are going to happen.
All right. So hopefully this kind of gives you a different perspective on preparing for retirement. Ask us some of the same questions you would ask if you're getting ready to go on vacation. And if you want to discuss these things, I know Ryan has a number of questions he'll ask you early on, Ryan, and take us through that. If you go to retireperfect.com, you can schedule that free consultation with Ryan at Black Oak Asset Management. And that's just an introductory call, right, Ryan?
It is. And people can ask any question they want. They can get as detailed as they want. They can get as high level as they want. I let people, I don't have a script. I just kind of introduce myself and just say, hey, this conversation's for you. I have a yellow pad in front of me. I sit here and take notes and answer any questions that you have. I may have a few questions for you, but likely it's going to come from your end. So I let them steer the ship. I let them steer the conversation in any direction they go because I have zero agenda on it. So when I say that in the beginning, it kind of lightens the mood a little bit. And they're like, oh, okay. So where do I start? And I'm like, wherever you want to start. I'm not sure where you're at in life. I'm not sure what, questions are kind of making you scratch your head on. And so just start talking and just tell me a little bit about kind of the main reason why you called, and boom, the conversation goes from there.
All right. It all starts at retireperfect.com. You'll see the link to book that free consultation. All right. Next up, we're going to be talking about, are you actually wealthier than you think? A lot of people feel like they're behind. Maybe you're not. We'll talk about that next right here on Perfect Game Retirement.
Don't strike out with your retirement. Ryan Ledden is here to coach you to a hit on Perfect Game Retirement.
You're listening to Perfect Game Retirement with Ryan Ledden at Black Oak Asset Management. We got a question we're going to get to real quick before we talk about, are you actually wealthier than you think? And this question came in from Max in Dunwoody. Ryan, he says, I just found out I'm getting a raise at work. Well, congratulations. What's the best way to invest an extra $1,500 a month?
Well, again, good problem to have there, Max. $1,500 a month. I mean, that's a decent chunk of money on a monthly basis. The pecking order I would do, Max. Obviously, I don't have a lot of details on you here, but try to max out your 401k. When I say max out, I don't necessarily mean just up to the match. I mean max. Like, can you put up to $23,500 or $31,000 based off of your age, or even more if you're older, Max? So start there and build up that 401k or 403b or whatever retirement plan you have, if you have one. Next pecking order is maybe go to outside IRAs, Roth especially. But if you're willing to save $1,500 a month, you will easily burn past that, because that you would max that out in a few months, because it's $7,000 or $8,000 is the most you can put into those accounts. So for beyond there, if your income is too high to do a Roth, you're maxing out your 401k, $1,500 a month, you can put that in a brokerage account, which is just an investment account at any custodian, Schwab, Vanguard, Fidelity, whoever. And you can put that $1,500 a month and it's automatic deposits every single month. And so you can save that extra chunk, because in a brokerage account, there's no income restrictions. There's no minimums or maximums on how much you put in there. So usually our higher income earners that we work with are putting money into accounts like that because they max everything out, or they're not eligible for certain things. Then they put money into a brokerage account, and you can buy whatever, ETFs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds inside of a brokerage account.
All right, great question, Max. Thanks for that. If you have one you want to follow up with Ryan, a specific question you might have about something like this or anything within your finances or maybe your life, or, hey, something's coming up that you want to prepare for, go to retireperfect.com. Schedule that free consultation with Black Oak Asset Management. Again, retireperfect.com. All right, Ryan, let's jump into our final segment here and talk about, are you wealthier than you think? And this is a great question, because I think a lot of people really work hard. They're spending a lot of time just their head down, grinding, trying to get ahead, but just don't ever really get that feeling that they are. But I think over time you see that these good strategies, these good habits that you might have made a big difference. So I want to talk about, what makes a person wealthy and how do they get there. And there's 5 signs I think we could talk through today to make sure someone's on the right path. And we talked about this earlier, but that emergency fund is so important. So let's start right there, Ryan. If you're prepared with that emergency fund, you got a leg up probably on a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, in any financial guru out there, and obviously Dave Ramsey's the most well-known of starting that emergency fund so you keep debt at bay, especially consumer debt, which, again, has compound interest in the wrong way if you have to start using credit cards for things. So, I mean, it is so important. Emergency funds are not sexy at all. They just sit there and do what they do. Now, with the interest rate environment that we're in, you can at least get some high yield savings so you can earn a little something on those things, on those types of accounts where before 2022, you would earn almost nothing. So it was like, oh, where can I put this money? Then maybe people were putting their emergency fund in an investment account, taking on too much risk. Again, emergency fund is supposed to be boring. Earn some interest on it. Just know you have to pay ordinary income tax on that interest, which is okay. I'm okay with that. Don't try to save on the tax and not earn the interest because the tax is still less than the interest that you earn. You just have to pay at your marginal tax rate on that interest. So emergency fund is so imperative. Again, most people want to do other things and invest their money or put it in a Roth or do a 401k, but please do an emergency fund first. And again, that can be on the 3 to 6 month side. And everybody asks, well, which one is it? Because that's a big difference. Well, it could be a big difference. So, just start to get to 3 months and then kind of assess everything and see where you're at. Now, if you're a married couple, if you have really good job security and your incomes are about the same, okay, you could probably be more on the 3 month side if you want. But if you have maybe a volatile job where it's maybe sales-based, commission-based, or maybe one spouse has a much, much higher income than the other, that's where you probably want to be closer to the 6 month side to prevent any type of job loss or no commissions or sales coming in. So that's where you want to be on that. Again, I mentioned earlier on the show, when you get to retirement, I would be closer to a year. That's my personal opinion. But I've just seen it work really, really well with some of the clients that we have that have a really, really beefed up emergency fund. Because again, you don't have an income stream. You're not working. Yeah, you have an income stream, but you're not working. You don't have a paycheck coming in. So more times than not, it's coming from your investments, your income, as well as Social Security, maybe any pensions. So that's why I just like to have a bigger emergency fund when you do get to retirement. But the peace of mind that emergency fund does, like I said, it's not sexy, but man, it's probably the best thing you can have throughout your working life and in retirement to keep that debt at bay, because that debt can gobble you up and swallow you whole, and you don't want that.
Yeah, it just gives you that peace of mind knowing you have that backstop there for you. But that's kind of the first one here. Number 2, I mean, when you're talking about habits that can help you build wealth over time, I mean, it's really simple, but it's so difficult. Just living below your means, right? I mean, that's the number one way to start stocking money away, but it's so tough to do for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, I mean, I live in the Alpharetta, Cumming area, and lifestyle creep is like, it's rampant. I mean, because people are just, they're doing this. I see this on social media. They're doing this. This person just got this new car. I mean, it's nonstop. So lifestyle creep is 100% a real thing. You have to be very, very intentional if you do get a pay raise, just to carve off a slice of a percentage of that percentage increase to put more toward your retirement, your savings, your emergency fund, whatever it may be, because a lot of people get that, pay raise or get their first big job, and they already have that money spent. They're already thinking, what can I buy? What can I buy? What can I buy? So again, it's a real thing. You just have to be very, very intentional. Again, I've mentioned this on the show before, but when you sign up for your retirement plan at work, a lot of 401k providers will have that automatic increase every single year. So that 1% increase on that anniversary of whenever you change it. So if you change it in mid-August of 2025, then you're going to change. It'll automatically go up by 1 percentage point in mid-August of 2026. And that discipline is built in for you, and you don't even realize it. It's an automatic prevention of lifestyle creep, if you will. So please sign up for that. It is so easy to do. It's a click of a button, and you will not even miss that extra 1% that is going to your 401k. So just living below your means is very, very difficult. Just have to be intentional when you do get pay raises. that you be intentional on. You don't necessarily have to save all of it, but be intentional to save some of that.
We're talking about some of the signs that you're on the right path to being wealthier than you might think, and that you're putting in some good habits right now here on Perfect Game Retirement with Ryan Ledden at Black Oak Asset Management. Again, remember, retireperfect.com is the place to go right now to schedule a time to meet with Ryan for the first time. Beyond that, Ryan, investing strategically. We all talk about investing. That's a big part of growing our wealth. But what does it mean to invest strategically? How do you know you're doing that well?
Yeah, and most people don't know if they are, to be honest. I mean, there's a lot of, going back to my last point of 401k plans, a lot of people don't pick their investment selections inside their 401k because they're not sure what to select. A lot of people, it defaults to a target date fund. So based off of when you turn age 65 is what the date on that fund will be. And for some people, that's okay. I don't love target date funds. I think they get a little bit too conservative too quickly, but that's okay. If you're okay with those, then that's fine. But I would definitely, that's where you can work with an advisor because sometimes 401k plans allow a kind of a backdoor, they call it a brokerage link. So some 401k plans allow you to invest it how you want. Now, you usually have to go through an advisor to do that, and then you have a whole slew of other investments because some 401ks just aren't great with their investment selection. So if you have a brokerage link, then you could do that, and we help some of our clients do that as well, help manage their 401ks if they don't like their 401ks or have no idea what to do with them. Sometimes we can help manage that. So investing strategically, is and it's not jumping in and out of the market. It's putting your money in, getting the portfolio set up, and just plowing forward and putting your head down and not get too wrapped up in the daily swings of the stuff.
All right, one last one here before we close out today's show. Focusing on the long term. This is, I think, maybe the most important thing to do when you're thinking about planning for retirement because it is a long process, Ryan. I know it's easy to get caught up and say, hey, I want to hit a home run this year, this month, whatever it is in the short term, but keeping that long-term perspective is the key to success.
And it is very difficult to do, and that is my job to continue to remind people of that. Even if you are retired, you still could be alive for, depending on when you retire, but it could be another 30 years, if not more. So even that's a long-term perspective. I think some people think, oh gosh, as soon as I retire and start taking income, I got to get super conservative. That's not always the case. So you do, my job is to continue to remind them of the long-term perspective, especially when we do client reviews and we've been working with people for a long time. You kind of see where they're started at and where they're at now. And it's like, oh, okay. It makes sense to them. And the daily swings, if you get caught up in that will drive you nuts. So I feel like that's where when we work with people who are retired, like, look, you don't have to worry about this stuff anymore. Like, don't sit here and wake up in the morning and turn on, whatever news outlet you like to watch or listen to, because it's noise. It's okay to be informed, but a lot of it's noise and it has nothing to do with what's going on in your portfolio. So that's my job as an educator of people's money is to continue to take that long-term perspective and not short-term.
As we close this out, Ryan, I know I want to encourage people to sit down and talk with you at retireperfect.com. That's the place to get your complimentary consultation set up. And I think, to kind of finish this out, a lot of people that sit down and meet with you or sit down with a professional and work through a lot of these things and look at their overall plan, all the different areas that go into retirement, you often find out that you are in better shape than you think if you've been doing these things over time, right?
Yeah, I mean, we all think we have to have, millions and millions of dollars in our retirement accounts to have a successful retirement, and that is not always the case. If you have that giant emergency fund where you're not having to add debt or take money out of investment accounts and living a little bit below your means, still enjoy life and have a good time. But, living below your means and investing and getting that portfolio set and continue to invest every single pay period, every single month, whatever that looks like. And then, focus on the long term. You cannot get caught up in this stuff short term. So if you do these things, you will have a successful retirement. You may not have tens of millions of dollars. Maybe you will. But if you don't, it's still okay. You can still have a successful retirement.
All right. Very good. Well, thanks, Ryan, as always. And appreciate you listening. And again, we encourage you to take advantage of that free consultation. We set it up for you for listening to the show, and it's a great chance to sit down with Black Oak Asset Management. Again, they have offices in Alpharetta, Macon, Lawrenceville, and everything online at retireperfect.com. We got to close it out on that note. Ryan, as always, thanks for your time. Hope you have a good week. Good luck with the kids in school, and we'll do it again next Sunday.
Appreciate it.
Information provided is for informational purposes only and does not constitute tax, investment, or legal advice. Please consult with a qualified professional before taking any action. Securities and registered investment advisory services offered through Silver Oak Securities, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Black Oak Asset Management and Silver Oak Securities, Inc. are not affiliated.